once upon a time, there was a little gnome with a hat. And this little gnome had a cake that was very delicious and pretty big. And the gnome cut the cake out in pieces so he himself could eat it. And he ate it with great joy. But then, one day, a giant came, an evil giant, who was very hungry, and just took the cake away from the little gnome. And the gnome couldn't do anything, or at least was very afraid to do it. So he just decided to cry about his loss.
In the distant year of 2007, there was a small girl who may or may not be a gnome. We're not sure. It was this little girl's birthday. She was in school and she had a big, lovely cake in front of her. She loved the cake and she wanted to eat it all by herself. So she did so in the beginning. Then the school bully came up and took the cake and ran off with it. Little girl began to cry. Then the teacher came over and said, "I'm on break, not my problem. Do it yourself."
There once was a little man that had a very strange hat and a very strange cake, and he wanted to eat it, but while he was eating the cake, a big ugly monster came and stole the cake, so he couldn't, get obese and die from it. And he sat and cried because he really wanted to be obese and fat. But then his logic, his brain said to him, "Why are you sitting here crying when you could go out and get the cake back?"
Once upon a time, there was a Chinese man who was eating a cake. He enjoyed eating this cake until suddenly a troll came by and took the cake away. The Chinese man began crying, and then his dad came by, told him to stop crying and get up.
Okay, so once upon a time in a land far away, there was a little prince who really liked to eat cake. And he got a big cake one day and he sat down and he ate it and he was so joyful. But then something happened. A very big and brutal monster came by and he took the cake from the little prince and he ran away to hide. And the little prince was so upset about that he couldn't do anything. He was just sitting there crying about the cake which was stolen. So one day when he has been sitting there crying enough, his father, the king, decided to come to his room and tell him, "Stop crying, go fight for the cake. If you want the cake, you can go and take it back." And the little prince thought to himself, "Well, okay, maybe I should do that." So he took his horse and he went to fight the monster and get the cake back. The little prince tried to fight the monster with a sword, but it didn't work. The monster didn't even react to him. So he thought, okay, what else do I know? I can try with maybe Kung Fu. And the little prince did so, but didn't work. And then the little prince was so confused and he thought like, okay, what else could I try? Maybe I should try the opposite of fighting. I will try with love. So the little prince decided to kiss the monster. And it worked. The monster handed the cake over because the monster got so happy that it got some love because it has never tried to be loved before. And then the little prince could take the cake back home to his kingdom and sit down and eat the cake and then live happily ever after.
This storytelling exercise is what you call open source. You can change it as you want. You can make your own version of it. You can add other things. You can add props. You can add music. Whatever you like. It's your own, for your own purpose. The main thing is that you have fun with it! Seriously.